Morning, everyone. I just wanted to welcome you to our call. My name is Bobby Spiegel. I'm President, CEO for the Corona Chamber of Commerce. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to our call today. I did want to take an opportunity to acknowledge our various leaders that are on the call from the Chamber standpoint. My chairman of the board is Paul Binder-Badisha. She is the owner of Express Employment Professionals, and she is the chair of our board of directors. Our board is made up of 26 different business owners and representatives that have a pulse on what's going on in the business community. One of those board members serves as our chair for our advocacy and this call, and his name is Jeff Miller. Some of you may not be aware of Jeff's background, so I do want to take the opportunity to acknowledge and share just a little bit about Jeff. He is a former elected state assembly member serving the Corona area. He served up in the state of California working with all of the businesses. It didn't matter if there was a R behind the name or a D or whether it's an independent, it was just focused on business matters. And Jeff has always worked both sides of the aisle. He's a consensus builder, and he knows how to get things done. Prior to him being on the state assembly, he served as our mayor in the city of Corona, as well as a number of years on our city council, and he had volunteered as well as a parks commissioner. He's got a lot of knowledge and information that how the state works as well as the federal government. And he is the perfect fit for us in this arena as our chair for our advocacy. Jeff also is a successful business owner. He has an insurance agency, and he works with businesses day in and day out. He is one of the few elected officials from prior that actually knows what it takes to set up a budget and work within your means. He understands your nightmares of worrying of how you're going to pay the electric bill or the various ways that you can collect from customers, clients, vendors, that type of thing. He's just a great fit for us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeff Miller.
Thank you, Bobby. Good morning, everybody. Here we are, a week after last week's meeting. I want to think our prayers and thoughts are still working for the people in Ukraine. It was just announced that they bombed a children's hospital with expectant mothers. And it's just, somebody needs to stop this bastard. What's going on is not right. It's just not right. So in the backdrop of all that, the gas is at its all-time high, but the Dow Jones is up about 700 points. So, and we live in a great state, a great city, and it's sunny outside. Our families are safe, and you're here on the business briefing call so we can talk about issues that impact our lives. So with that, I would like to, I'm going to throw it to Paul Bender in a second just to say hi. And, but I'd like to just announce that today's event is sponsored by Altura Credit Union. Altura is a community-based credit union that successfully serves its members with all their financial goals. Altura board members are local leaders who volunteer their time and are deeply committed to the community. Unlike a corporate bank, they understand the differentiating needs of the everyday individual. Thank you, Altura, for sponsoring this meeting. With that, I'd like to just give it to the chair of the board, Paul Binder-Badisha, to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and thank you for acknowledging the terrible challenges that are going on right now in Ukraine. And in that backdrop, I am so happy to see you all joining our weekly calls because you are the leaders in information, and please take time to share what you learn with other businesses and organizations that you have contact with. I think the true leaders are those that take uncomfortable information and then use it to continue to keep their organizations and businesses operating. And so we also have, as Jeff said, it's a very stressful time. I mean, it feels like the whole last 3 years have been extremely stressful, right? But everybody's kind of worn out. I see it on the face of employees. It's people have lots of children and young people who've gone through mental health challenges and all kinds of things. So throughout that, we continue to operate. And in some ways, the fact that we have so much to deal with in California keeps us busy and keeps our minds occupied. It's kind of like a blessing in disguise. But I encourage you to continue to join us for these calls and to share that information with others. It's really important in any facet of our lives to be part of a tribe and a community, and the Corona Chamber is here for you all. And I know I belong to other chambers, and this chamber I've always felt welcome and cared for, and I think that's what we all need in oncoming weeks and months. And then on the price of gas, if it makes you feel better, it's $10 a gallon in Britain, where I come from. So I just kind of feel more at home, right? So don't think it's all linked to the price of crude oil, but in Britain, we've been paying that much. We're heavily subsidized in the States, and we don't recognize it often. So $10
Good observation.
is the way to go, huh?
Good observation, Balbinder.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. All right. Thank you, Jeff, for allowing me to speak. I hand it back.
Thank you, Paul Bender. I reminded me of saying my dad used to say, no matter how fast you're driving, someone will always pass you. So thank you to the fine folks of the United Kingdom. With that, just please note on the bottom, you can click the chat button, send any questions you want to me or Jeff Gibson or the chamber host, and we'll make sure those get answered. And with that, I'd like to introduce the Vice President of Communications Extraordinaire, Stephanie Shapiro.
Thank you, Jeff, and good morning, everybody. So happy to be with you all this morning. I just wanted to touch on a few things that we have upcoming here at the Chamber. Next Monday, we have our monthly Coffee with an Entrepreneur. This is an informal chat where an entrepreneur comes, shares their story, and gives you an opportunity to ask questions and just learn more about what it takes to be an entrepreneur or how they got through those tough times. So we will be featuring Rachel Medina this coming Monday, March 14th. It's free to attend in partnership with the City of Corona. She is the founder of RM101 Media Group, and she's a podcast host. So she's got a great story to share with us, and we hope to see you all there. There's a registration link on your screen, and Anthony just put it in the chat as well. That link is for you to let us know that you're coming to join us here in person. We do provide coffee and pastries and things like that, and we have to arrange proper seating. So sign up if you're planning on coming. We also host it live on Facebook, and no pre-registration is necessary for that. Next Thursday on St. Patrick's Day, yes, it's a Thursday. We've moved away from our normal Friday. Thursday, March 17th, we are hosting Good Morning Corona with the State of the County address. Supervisor Karen Spiegel will be providing that update for us. It is going to be a packed and amazing session. We have just a couple exhibitor spaces left. We have over 180 people on the guest list now, and we hope that you are one of them. If not, that link just went into the chat as well, and there's more details about it on our website. We do have an early registration discount that is good through tomorrow. And finally, one last thing I'd like to share with you all is about sexual harassment prevention in the workplace. Every business in the state of California that has 5 or more employees is required to provide this training for their employees. Every single person that works for them, whether they're in management or not. This is something that we have also partnered with the City of Corona on to provide to you for free. And it's going to be held here at the Chamber office on March 22nd. So you see a 2-hour time frame on your screens from 10 to 12. The first hour is for all staff to attend. The second hour will those in management will remain to complete their training for that. So this is good for 2 years, and it's free to attend, and we hope to see you there. Space is limited, so please sign up if you plan on attending, and feel free to bring your whole team. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Membership Development Coordinator, Robert Yanez.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And thank you all for being on the call today. As you all know, our members make up our chambers. So without you, we wouldn't be here. And we'd love to continue advocating on your behalf with calls like this and many other different events that we have here. So if you have any clients or colleagues that you feel would be a great fit for our chamber, please have them reach out to me. I will put all of my information in the chat. And if you're new to the chamber and you're on this call for the first time, please call me and I'll be able to go over some of our amazing benefits to our nationally award-winning chamber. And now I'd like to turn it over to our marketing and sponsorship specialist, Tammy.
Thank you so much, Robert. And whether you're a new member and you want to connect with Robert, or you've been with us for quite some time and you want to connect with me, we have some amazing ways to help you grow your business. And we thank you so much for being part of our chamber and for coming on this meeting. Please spread the word. We do have our sponsorship and exhibitor benefits available for the Good Morning Corona this next Thursday, as Stephanie mentioned. It's going to be a really amazing event. We also have them for our golf tournament. And if you would like to find some really affordable ways to grow your business with the chamber, we have some phenomenal ways to help you. And definitely get a hold of Robert or myself to be part of the CBN, which is our newspaper, or be part of our weekly e-blast and many other ideas. And thank you for being with us. And I'll turn it back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Stephanie. I'd like to, jump off it a little bit. I just want to recognize any nonprofits that are on our call. I didn't do it really that well last week because we were running over. Our goal is to get everybody in and out in about a half an hour. So Jim from Peppermint Ridge, thanks for coming on the call. If you want to put your contact information in the chat, if somebody wants to get involved and help or make a donation, they'll have your contact information. So thank you for coming on the call every week. We appreciate it. And I know we have a quick education update from Annette Dumont from the Riverside County Office of Education. Annette, you want to take it over?
Hi, yes. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to let you know that Dr. Gomez, the superintendent of schools for the County of Riverside, is doing his State of Education address tomorrow, March 10th at 12:30 p.m. It is virtual. So all you have to do is go onto the website and it'll direct you to his address. I hope you'll take the time to check out what's going on in the county. That, of course, includes you and your children. So please, if you can find the time, take the time, listen to what Dr. Gomez has to say. If not, I believe that they're going to be running it for a while on the website, so you can catch up with it at a different time if you like. But just wanted to let you all know that that's happening tomorrow at 12:30. Thank you for letting me take the time.
Thank you, Annette. I'd like to now introduce Jeff Gibson. And after Jeff does his presentation, I'm hoping Sam Matani, the CEO of Corona Regional Medical Center, or Linda Pearson can come on and just give us a very quick update on COVID and cases and how our community is doing on the COVID end. But we'll do that after Jeff gives his presentation. So Jeff is, like us, a small business owner. He owns Occidental Communications Group. I've had the pleasure of working with him now for 23 years. And sure. Jeff specializes in government affairs, political campaigns, and has a wide variety of knowledge and has done work in areas of healthcare, transportation, housing, environmental, and provides our weekly updates on legislation and issues that are extremely important to what we do on this committee. There you go, Jeff. It's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. So we have several issues to discuss today, an update on the California Capital Summit that we will be having on May 31st through June 2nd. And from time to time, it's good to review very quickly how and why our focus. And we do that generally in November and December when we go over our success record through the report card process. But one of the other things that we do hit on regularly, but it always deserves repeating, that we are open to work with every legislative office, but that the legislative offices of Assemblymember Cervantes, Senator Roth, and especially just because he served for so long, Congressman Ken Calvert, have been key to doing things along fixing the 91 freeway, fixing the 15 freeway. There are other offices out there that have represented Corona or represent near Corona that do not participate with the business community, whether they're Republican or Democrat for whatever reason. And they have not ever participated in any of the policy discussions. And so as we head out into the election season, we want to be very clear that without Assemblymember Cervantes and without Senator Roth casting votes, doing the difficult work, very similar to what Jeff Miller did on the 91 freeway originally, the interchange at the 9115 and those road improvements wouldn't be happening. Without Congressman Calvert reaching across the aisle and being criticized for it from people like Senator Melendez, and putting the deal together along with then Assemblymember Miller, the 91 freeway would not be improving, period. And so we always take a bipartisan approach here because the chamber is a bridge. But as you move forward, we always have extended the invitation to everyone who would like to come speak with us. But there's no rule or law or standard for Assemblymember Cervantes' phone call participation in almost all of these events, or when we see her up in Sacramento on June 1st, where we're very likely to see Senator Roth again on June 1st. We have presented or when we go to Washington, D.C. and are hosted for the entire day by Congressman Calvert, who walks us through both the policy process and the entire House side of the U.S. Capitol, as he has in the past. We've presented to Senator Melendez several different times to come speak to us, participate with us once. So in the entire time that she's worked with us. So I just want to give you the idea of what we do go through and how incredible it is that people, and obviously we have disagreements with Assemblymember Cervantes. We've had disagreements with Senator Roth. We've had disagreements. We wish we could get more or less or whatever from Congressman Calvert, but they're always at the table. And that's the important thing, that the chamber sets the table and we invite everybody to it. And then at the end of the day, it's the people who attend and work and do that work, do the difficult work of representing us and making sure that our hard-earned tax dollars return to our district so that they can do things like improve roads, improve public safety, et cetera. And so in any case, we really appreciate the team that we have and going forward. So last night, the governor had his State of the State speech. He made several different policy pronouncements that if they become law, and obviously when the governor says that he's interested in seeing something, that is a dinner bell to the legislature that, hey, if you can get this bill through, I will sign it. That would largely change the role of state government in every single life in the state of California. We will be seeing these themes. He has hit upon these themes before. They were sharper last night in the 20-minute address. And so this is likely things that we're going to be seeing over and over again, as we discussed when we're in Sacramento. First, he endorsed single-payer healthcare for all California residents, regardless of any sort of status or background, which we have already priced out. He has already priced out. His administration has already priced out at being over $400 billion a year. Currently, his proposal for the budget this year, which does not include single-payer healthcare, as you will soon see, is for $286 billion worth of spending. Even 4 years ago, we were spending about $140 billion on and off budget. And so you can see that there has been, in the last 4 years, a massive growth in government by any sort of yardstick. So during that period of change, and we're just here to report the change. You can make the decision if you like it or not, but it's a fact. And during that position, healthcare access was greatly expanded. The governor last night doubled down and has put that as his central theme of his speech. The second would be he focused on the smash and grab issue that we have focused on. He does not look on it as a need for any sort of legislative reform of any of the laws that preceded the rise in crime. What he sees this as an opportunity to strengthen the agencies that enforce the laws. And so he's proposing hundreds of millions of dollars in new funding for the Attorney General's office, for local law enforcement agencies, et cetera. But again, the only locations in which you're seeing smash and grab activity at a pandemic type level or an epidemic or an endemic type level are in counties in which your DA, the DA, the sheriff, or both have decided not to use the tools that they have under existing code to prosecute those crimes. And so that's largely San Francisco and the surrounding counties, some of the surrounding counties. That's Los Angeles County and some of the surrounding areas, a little bit in San Diego, but in Orange County, for instance, where, and I use the example of the day of our phone call, there was a woman caught in Rancho Santa Margarita with $4,000 worth of goods that she had stolen that morning from local stores. She's being prosecuted to the full extent of the code, and there hasn't been another incident. So it really does get down to it. There are, in our opinion as a chamber, we've taken the position that there are legislative reforms that are needed to provide prosecutors, and this is based on the advice of our DA and our sheriff, but the governor does not see it that way. And so you could expect a tough road to hoe in the legislature for any sort of legislative reform. And by the way, this is not new to this governor. This is not new to this legislature. When I wrote Jessica's Law and Jeff Miller was a statewide chair, the legislature did not take a position or even hear of reforms on any of the related codes until we had qualified for the ballot. And so this is not unusual with any sort of reform on penal code issues. This is kind of par for the course going back almost 30 years. The third thing that the governor endorsed was a mandatory transitional kindergarten year. So you would have to be, if you have a 4-year-old in your home or you know of one, if this bill passes, you would have to be interacting with, you would either have the opportunity to send your child to public school for a transitional, what's known as TK, for all of us who have lived through it. It's more of an academic-based daycare, but you would also have a responsibility as a parent to interact with the school's system and the state to ensure that your child isn't truant. So that's mandatory transitional kindergarten, free community college, free after-school program expansions, additional community college housing. This is an issue that started basically about 3 years ago with the expansion of the community college state agency where we started to provide housing on community college campuses. There are now about 500 units under current development around the state, with about 5,000 more planned. You do not need to be a student to be housed in community college housing, so brings up another issue. But and then universal meal programs for area residents served out of school cafeterias. And so currently, if you were a Title I school serving an area of high poverty, there are federal programs in which you can get reimbursed for universal meal programs, which run 7 days a week for all 3 meals. The governor is proposing to take that statewide and make it permanent. So again, these are going to be issues that you're going to be seeing in the re-election campaign. These are issues that we're going to be tracking very closely. Just these three topic points alone add about $450 billion structurally to the size of state government. So you'd be looking at basically a 2.5 times a state government that's 2.5 times the size of that it is currently, and it's already grown by 100% since the end of the Jerry Brown era. So anyway, happy to take any questions that you may have, or we'll move on to AB 2289, which is kind of an answer for how the state is looking at this issue. Any questions, Anthony?
There are no questions, so feel free to move on.
All right, AB 2289 by Assemblymember Lee, Democrat from San Jose. We are opposing this. The stated goal is to tax wealth. It's identical to AB 3. It's almost identical to AB 310, which was proposed last year and died almost immediately. But this year, obviously, we are in a different situation with the governor having endorsed single-payer health care. So there's going to be very likely at least one, if not more, issues on the ballot. In that environment, the state legislature likes to have generally have several hearings on this issue. Whether or not they pass it per se, it just provides some more background and some more discussion leading up to the election. The wealth is defined essentially as household income above $49,900. To buy a median priced home in almost any county in California, you need a median household income of $78,000. And so what you would be looking at is anyone who essentially has 2 incomes in a household would be considered wealthy under the bill. And that is one of the lowest thresholds for income tax of any state in the union. So it's very difficult to see how this is a progressive income tax state if you are well short of the ability to buy a home in the state of California and being taxed at the top rate. Of course, the wealth that's being targeted, the wealth, quote unquote, that's being targeted is also the most easily moved outside the state. Very rarely do millionaires or the people that are or billionaires have limited liability corporations or shell companies that are headquartered in the state of California and pay taxes based on that. But in any case, we'll leave that for another day in a discussion up in Sacramento. And again, previous attempts have been made to pass this, and each of them have failed. But again, with the governor endorsing single-payer healthcare last night, that is a big issue for us. So moving on, again, any questions?
There are no questions.
All right, I'm stunning you guys into silence, or everybody is busy catching up on Game of Thrones. So the Next slide is the Corona Capital Summit. May 31st through June 2nd of this year. We already have set several different pieces of the agenda. No, Stephanie, it is not, and I actually never watched it, so it was just the first thing that popped into my head. So our travel schedule and schedule for the overall meeting is May 31st. Is a travel day for us. We arrive in Sacramento and we will have an arrival dinner at Frank Fat's. Generally, we have a legislative or advocate meet with us at that meeting. Frank Fat's, if you have not gone with us, is one of the most highly rated restaurants in Sacramento. It is also one of the most historic restaurants in Sacramento. So it's always a very good time. And we've probably hosted about 12 different legislators at that over the 10 plus years that we've been doing this. So it's not unusual to have one to two members of the legislature with us. June 1st, we have the legislative breakfast. Almost always we have our state senator and our state assembly member, Senator Roth and Assembly Member Cervantes. We have not confirmed them, so I don't want to present that we've confirmed those yet, but we have just, and we set this agenda yesterday, but we will be inviting them. So I am looking at you through the magic of Zoom, Mr. West. So that breakfast is in our hotel, which will be the Hyatt Regency. We'll be sending out room information shortly. Room rate's about $235 per night, but we will get the exact rate for you. And then we have the California Chamber of Commerce Summit, which has multiple sessions from about 9:45 to about 1 p.m. Lunch is included in that. Then we have the Corona Business Summit, starting about 1:30, usually lasting about 2 hours, in which I put together a group of speakers that generally handle about at least a third of the budget that we would be most interested in. So we have had the deputy chair of Caltrans. We have had the only business meeting that the chief lobbyist for the California Teachers Association said that we were the first business group that she'd ever met with, and she'd only been lobbying for them for 25 years. And since she handles all Prop 98 issues, which are about 60% of the budget in any given year, of the real budget in any given year, by Prop 98, about 50 to 55% of the budget is covered under what are known as Prop 98 funds. I'm giving Jeff Miller PTSD just by saying Prop 98. So, because that is a major issue in the negotiation of any budget, of any spending bill, of just about anything in the state of California having to do with the state government is understanding how this affects Prop 98, because $1 out of every $2 spent by the state of California has to be spent on education in a Prop 98 protected fund. And then June 2nd, we will be having the we will be going to the Sacramento Host Breakfast, which is one of the top 2 or 3 speeches that the governor gives in any given year. And so it's not to be missed. Jerry Brown endorsed fracking at one of his. Governor Newsom has endorsed single payer health care and laid out his budget. So there's a number of different very interesting items that have happened in California history that were announced at that luncheon, at that breakfast, and it is a major event in the political year, and you get to have a ringside seat. So those are that's the topics there, and then finally, because this is warranting so much discussion as it should with the Ukrainian war, there's a huge amount of reporting that the actions of Vladimir Putin are responsible for inflation and gas price increase in the United States. And clearly, I have included on the fourth slide here that that price increase started in January 2021, 14 months before the invasion began. But they coincided with America losing energy independence and including the large-scale increase in the buying of Russian oil. Now, Russian oil is not just an interesting thing that we hear about on whatever news source we have. A good deal, a very large percentage of that Russian oil exclusively heads to California, because we do not operate major pipelines on a regular basis between any other state or contiguous foreign country. And we rely almost exclusively on oil that is delivered from foreign countries to into the South Bay of Los Angeles, where we have a major refinery, into the San Francisco Bay, where we have a major refinery. And so when we're talking about Venezuelan oil, when we're talking about oil in the state of California, typically that means we're getting our oil from Russia, from Venezuela, and from several Middle Eastern countries. So while it's of interest to people outside the state of California, it is of complete interest. And if Paul Bender is looking at the price of gasoline and getting a little homesick, yesterday in the policy phone calls that I was on, the price of gas in California is now being priced in the national stock, in the New York Stock Exchange, as being $9 by the end of April, $9 per gallon. So that does not mean that it will be $9 per gallon, but the people that are investing in energy are betting that the price of gas will on average be around $9. So in any case, buckle up, guys. It's going to be an exciting year. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Jeff. There are no questions.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate the updates. Like to get moving here so we can get everybody off the call and back to their work. I do want to recognize one of our newer members that's on the call, City of Hope. And thank you, Vic, for jumping on the call, and we appreciate your participation. And I'd like to see if, thank you, Vic. Sam, I was going to throw it over to Sam, and before I turned it over to Brad, if you wanted to give any updates on healthcare in our community.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick update here. So from a COVID cases perspective, our city is doing well. The number of cases, at least in the hospital, is coming down sharply. We peaked at around 80 cases in the middle of January. This morning, we were down to 7 COVID cases in the hospital, and we had no COVID patient in ICU, which is even better news. The death rate is dropping down sharply. So overall, we're doing well. Even in the county, the number of cases are down to 149 per 100,000 lives. It peaked over 6,000 at one point. So you could see the sharp decline in COVID cases. The bad news in this whole thing is even if you're vaccinated and boosted, you can still get it. So we're seeing patients that are coming in that have been vaccinated and boosted and still ending up in the hospital. So please protect yourself and stay safe.
Thank you, Sam. Brad West from the Office of Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes. Brad, do you have anything quick you want to add in here?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I wanted to highlight one piece of legislation that the Assembly member recently introduced. This is AB 1619. And so this bill requires that affidavits of voter registration, both paper and electronic, inform voters that their signature is used to be compared with the signature provided on the return of the envelope if it's a vote by mail ballot. We saw this at the registrar of voters in previous years, where some voters didn't really pay much attention to their signature and some voters got their votes thrown out because of that. Because again, the registrar does compare those signatures to make sure that they sync up in order to count the vote. So we want to make sure that is really clearly labeled on our voting materials. And this has been referred to the elections committee, and we'll do our best to get it out of there and get it to the floor. So thank you.
Great. Great. Thank you. Sounds like an easy bill to get behind and support. Thank you very much. With that, I just want to introduce a few folks that are on the call. I introduced Vic, Sam, Linda, Annette Demond from the Riverside County Office of Education, and from the fine city of Wildemar, our best buddy and friend, Kimberly Davidson. And hello. Thanks, Kimberly. I think I got everybody. I think we've covered everything. Again, I want to thank Altura Credit Union for their sponsorship. To next week's meeting, March 16th, we'll be bringing additional critical issues to this committee, and hopefully you can join and invite a friend, and hopefully they'll participate and get involved. And with that, I'll let everybody go and adjourn the meeting. Go out there and be safe and make some money. Goodbye, everybody.